Hello everyone, and welcome to my second video in my Enneagram series. Now I do numerology primarily because numerology is very much focused on your spiritual mission, your abilities, your weaknesses that you need to develop in this lifetime. It very much is the most important elements of you. It's your spirituality. The numerology is the reason that you are here. And it is very much, numerology is very much my biggest passion, alongside Mayan astrology, which also adds elements to who I am as a person and will do the same for you. But the reason why I'm posting on the Enneagram is because the Enneagram dug a little bit deeper into my psyche and the elements that are deep in my emotions that nobody else has seen or will ever see inside me. So my ultimate fears, desires, the reason why I think the way I do, and the reason why before I got into the Enneagram, I thought I was a complete nutter. But I've realised now that it's just my Enneagram type, which gives me the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts that I have. So it validated me in a way and made me feel not a nutcase. But a lot of people say, oh, the Enneagram puts you into a box. No, the Enneagram shows you the box that you're already in and shows you a way to get out again. So what it does for me, whereas numerology helps my life path, my direction, the reason that I'm here, alongside Mayan astrology, which I also use to help guiding my life and my evolution. I use the Enneagram to question myself on a deep level, to understand my feelings and my motivations, my fears, and things that hold me back, things that are a bit broken about me, that maybe hold me back. And the realization of this, when I really realized my proper Enneagram type, it was amazing for me. So I wanted to share these videos with you in the hope that you would achieve that same enlightenment from using numerology, Mayan astrology, or Western astrology, because that is also relevant, and the Enneagram to help guide you throughout your life, as it certainly does for me. So in the usual in order fashion, I'm starting with the type 1, the Enneagram type 1, which we call the reformer. Okay, so your core elements. So if you look back at my first core typing video on the Enneagram, you'll see that there was 3 main questions. The first question had 9 desires and fears within it, and you chose whichever one of those that you felt that you resonated with. So if you are an Enneagram 1 and you found yourself to be an Enneagram 1, your main core desire is to be good, to do the right thing, to have integrity. And your main fear is being corrupt. And hang on a minute, I've got a pop-up coming up on my screen. If I can just get rid of this, I will be, yeah. So you fear being bad, you fear doing the wrong thing. So you push back some of your natural urges to be naughty at times, for want of a better word, naughty, or not to do the right thing, and you suppress those because you want so much to be good, to do the right thing, and you want everybody else to be good and to do the right thing too, and you fear being bad or corrupt yourself. So you're always striving to do the right thing, but you know, when it comes down to it, what is the right thing? That's subjective, is it not? The second question in my typing video was whether you are future, present, or past orientated. So does the future take up most of your thoughts? Does the present take up most of your thoughts? Or does the past take up a lot of your thoughts? If you are an Enneagram type 1 reformer, it's the present tasks that occupy your thoughts. You want to do tasks well. You worry that you're not doing it right, or you're not pleasing others, or not doing a good job. You're very focused on what needs to be done now and in the present, and you're very much dependent on feedback from others. So you want to be good. You're very very into what you're doing at that present moment, to doing the right thing in the moment. And the third question on my typing video was the way you respond when things go wrong. So your initial feelings when things don't go as planned. So when things go wrong, the Enneagram Reformer type 1 is a gut or anger type. That you feel that flash of anger flashing in your gut. But because you're a 1, you don't like showing that anger, because remember, you want to do the right thing. So you suppress that anger inside, and you feel a lot of tension and internal anger, and you want to move to action to make it right, to do the right thing. So if somebody doesn't do their tidying up, you'll feel compelled and annoyed, and you'll feel compelled to go and do the tidying up for them, because that is the right thing to do. And that other person, they just did the wrong thing, and you're not very happy about that. That is the core elements of the Enneagram type 1 reformer. Okay. So hang on a minute. It's not changing my screen because of my last pop-up. If I can find this, I can do that. And it might, yeah. So as an Enneagram reformer type 1, you want to do the right thing, and you want everybody else to do the right thing. So you want the world to be a better place. You hang on, my lovely little cat, hang on, it's just come in. All right, darling, you want to go out? Go on then. Go on then. Sorry. My lovely little Tigger cat's cat flap comes into this room. So if I lock the door to stop the family bursting in, the cats can't get out. So every so often when the cat comes in, they'll meow for my attention, and I have to go and let the cat out of this room. So as I was saying, what you want deeply as an Enneagram reformer type 1 is you want everybody to do the right thing. Because if everybody did the right thing, if everybody stopped at red lights, if everybody followed the rules, if everybody followed the procedures, if everybody did what they were supposed to do, then the world would be a better place. So that's a core want for a 1, but it also creates a core tension or frustration for a 1. If everyone did what they're meant to do, cut their grass, stop at red lights, as I've said, the roads would be safe, the schools would be safe, the streets would be safe. You want to be a good person. You want to aspire to achieve good behaviour in yourself and others. So you're quite instructional. You like to tell other people what the right way is, which, as you can imagine, can get a bit wearing on others at times. You want to be reliable. You want to do the right thing. You're determined to do what's right. And you, as you can imagine, by the energy of that can cause a lot of tension and frustration in an Enneagram type 1. They want to be teachers. They want to be the correction officers, the prison officers, the policemen, the people that stop you and tell you, you've done that wrong. Now, this is what you should do to make it right. Okay, that's a perfect job. That kind of job for a reformer Enneagram is a prison officer, a probation officer, a police officer, definitely. Very much about, and a teacher, very much about instruction to get people to do things correctly. Because, you know, you're quite black and white and you think there is only one right way to do things, which again is quite a source of tension in your life as well. Because there's often more than one way to do things, but the Enneagram reformer believes very much in there's one way to do things and that way should be stuck to, which again, feeling the energy of that is, you know, can be bring about quite a lot of tension and anger in a reformer, as they, you know, you can't control what other people do. You're not perfect yourself, and you're never happy with the way things are because you're always striving to make things better. And this is, you know, something that helps you but hinders you a lot also. You want your children to grow up with the values that you instilled in them. So you're very much about family values, tradition, that one right way of doing things, and then instilling that right way to the next generation. You want to do the best thing, but again, who's decided what the best thing is? The one reformer likes to decide what the best thing is and make the best decision. Even if others don't agree, they believe in that one right way, and they want everybody to do things in that one right way. And if they did, the world would be a better place. That's the key wants for a type 1. Personality-wise, as I've said, they will step up and do other people's jobs because they believe it's the right thing to do. They'll bicker and moan, and people, they just leave their rubbish everywhere and they just leave me to do it. How come I'm the one who's always doing it? You're the one who's always doing it because you're the one who does it, because you're the one that's compelled to do it. Not all Enneagram types are compelled to do the right thing and follow the rules all the time, and that is a source of frustration for the Enneagram type 1. The way that you often demand for people to do the right things can sometimes make you enemies, because sometimes you can get quite frustrated, as I've previously mentioned, and your demand for people to do the right thing can be quite wearing on others at times, especially if you're being very self-righteous about it. Often seen as a bit of a stick in the mud, and this person can't have fun, but it's more that the Enneagram 1 likes to get the work done first. It's not that they don't like having fun, it's just that they like to get the work done first, and they want to be serious about getting that work done first. They love to follow the rules, as I've said. They want to do everything within the rules, even when they have fun. They want everybody to have fun within the rules. It's work before play, and you can't relax until the job is done. And you find it quite difficult to relax, let go, and have fun. Okay, that's an issue that the Enneagram 1 has. And when an Enneagram type 1 is in the positive, they go to the 7 and they become that positive, more relaxed person. They might kick aside their standards for a while and just let it go, So, that's something that is something for the Enneagram 1 to develop on their positive side. They're driven to fix errors. So very much the problem solver. So you'd be very good at fixing people's problems, or fixing errors that people have made in their writing or in their machinery, depending on your interests. You like to deny your urges so that you could be responsible and integrity, because remember, your key fear is that you will be a bad person. So you deny your urges so that those fears won't be realized, so that you don't perceive that you've done the wrong thing, and that you know that every day you're acting with integrity. Then you don't have to face the fear of being a bad person. Very sensitive to criticism. You criticize yourself enough, so when somebody else criticizes you, that just adds to the weight that you put on top of yourself. Because you are very self-critical. You're quite idealistic in that you believe that there is one right way, there is one right way to think, there is one right way to do everything, and that people should follow that right way and that ideal best way. As I've said, you'd be a great police officer. You're good at fixing and organising, so you could organise issues, sort out problems, fix things and people and situations, and make things right. Maybe correct procedures, or change the rules, or make sure certain rules are added in that weren't before. That kind of thing is really energizing for an Enneagram 1. That they love to do a job where there is one right way, where they can follow procedure, do things by the book, and not deviate from that way. They're very organised and orderly, methodical, stick to tasks until they're done, and can often then burn themselves out, which can be another difficulty of the Enneagram 1, is that they do too much and burn themselves out. Confidence issues at times, so they compare themselves with others positively and negatively, whether they're putting themselves or other people down. That comes from their core insecurities and lack of confidence. They're the ones that work really, really hard, like I say, burn themselves out by showing up early, staying late, being the one that gets everything done while everyone else, in your perception, chills out. Very ethical, reliable, productive, hardworking, self-disciplined, very judgmental of yourself and others. Your language is very much you ought, you should. How can you do that? That is the wrong thing to do. How can you walk on the grass when there's signs that say you're not allowed? Why don't you follow the rules? Everything would be better if you followed the rules. This is the way the 1 thinks, and this is how they can build up that frustration that not everyone around them does the right thing. You always think about how things, people, situations could be better. And you're sure of yourself and you don't follow the crowd. But when you're always thinking about how things could be better, you're kind of never relaxed and you're never satisfied. So that is something the Enneagram 1 really needs to work through. But it also gives you abilities. Okay, so in any jobs that require the need for you to spot mistakes and flaws, quality management, I've just thought would be great for an Enneagram type 1, being able to spot the flaws and mistakes in things. So a quality control manager, an editor, a proofreader. So they'll look at things that aren't right. They'll analyse figures to find where the errors are. So accountants would be good as an Enneagram 1. They could be the type of Enneagram 1 that's interested in their health. So they may only eat certain foods, or believe that some foods aren't right and some foods are the right foods. Very leadership orientated, very dominant and energetic and strong. So they'd be very good leaders, the Enneagram type 1. They're a gut type. That means they instinctively know what needs to be done. They're good at reading their own intuition and knowing what's best without input from others. Sensitive to things that go wrong, definitely, because they like to fix things. Good at listening to their gut and not the group. So they won't necessarily listen to what the group says. So if they intuitively think something else, they won't follow the group mentality, and they can be accused sometimes of not being a team player. But they get the job done regardless of who's against them and whether the team like it or not. They're a catalyst for change, and whether people like it or not, they will strive to bring about change that leads more in the direction of the right way. But as you can imagine, others won't necessarily always feel that the 1's way is the right way. So this can cause some conflict and tension and resentment from other people when they're faced with the energy of an Enneagram 1. But the Enneagram 1 have their issues to deal with to help them evolve. So as I've said, when you find out your Enneagram type, it's not about thinking, oh, this is me, this is who I am, so tough, this is how I'm always going to be. It's about finding out what your issues and your strengths are, and then finding the box that you've built around yourself, what that box is, and then climbing out. So finding out what your issues are and trying to not be that way so that you can evolve past these issues. Okay, so you have, as an Enneagram reformer, an inner voice that says you have to do more all the time. You've got an inner critic that's always telling you you're not good enough. Oh, you didn't measure up to that. You know, you could have done better. What are you like? So you can imagine this causes a lot of stress and tension. You've got a clear sense of what you believe is good and bad, right and wrong. There is one right way, black and white. Okay, but the world isn't always like that. But the 1 feels that there is one right way, and you know, people around them and themselves often don't do it the right way, and you chastise yourself and other people because of that. Very idealistic. You use the word should and ought a lot because you think there's one right way. Remember, you prescribe the rules to others, whether they like it or not. And you complain about others, saying that others are fools, they don't take their job seriously, they don't get the job done, they cut corners, they're not following through on their commitments. How come it's always me that's following through and everyone else just doesn't follow through and just goes off and has fun? You judge others, as I've just said, but you also judge yourself. You always tell yourself you're not good enough, you haven't made the grade, and you're always feeling disappointed and stressed and feeling that you could have done better and you could have done more. And you're also disappointed at times with the people around you that they could have done better and they could have done more. And this is a great source of stress and disappointment to you. You never seem to attain that goodness because you set the bar so high for yourself that you're never going to be able to attain that goodness because it's impossible to attain it, but you still set that bar for yourself. You'll never meet your own standards because they're way too high for you or anyone to meet. You don't measure up to the standards, which is self-defeating for you. I could have done better. You're just never satisfied with good enough. And that's something you need to develop towards. You exhaust yourself and everyone else with your constant need to make things right, change things. In some ways it's good when it's making things right at work or it's part of your job. But it's also what is destroying you. Because the world around you and you, whether you like it or not, you're broken. You're not perfect. The world isn't perfect. You are not perfect. You are broken, and so is the world. And you'll never be able to attain that perfection that you push so hard for. But and you've got to know that in yourself. You're not perfect. You're not always going to do the right thing. So when you do follow your urges or allow yourself to follow your urges, you end up hiding what you do under a blanket of shame, thinking this is not the wrong thing. But if I don't tell anyone, or if I hide it from people, then no one will know, and I can pretend that I'm good. Hiding their imperfection under this blanket of shame. But you shouldn't feel that shame because no one is perfect. The world isn't, and nor is anyone else. And because of this shame and this worry about doing the right thing, you can't admit it when you're wrong. You distance yourself by saying, oh, that wasn't me. I was just having a bad day. That wasn't me as a person. I was just having a bad day. I was just stressed. That's not me. And then you don't find it easy to say sorry. You just want to brush over it and forget it because you don't want to think about the fact that you've done it wrong. That's really distressing for you. So apologizing just emphasizes that, and you don't like that at all. Guidance. Okay, so this is to help you out of this mire that you put yourself in as an Enneagram 1. Stop trying to fix everything. Okay, be content to make a difference. Okay, be content with making a good and positive impact on the world rather than stressing yourself out by wanting to fix everything and make everyone and everything and yourself perfect, because it's never going to happen. You need to get to a state as an Enneagram 1 where you're content to make a difference and to do positive things in the world. Embrace that you're not perfect. And you can be loved even if you're not perfect. Everyone else can be loved and they're not perfect. So you can be loved whether no one's perfect. You are worthy of love whether you perceive yourself as perfect or not. Because it's not your goodness that makes us right with the universe. It's our life path. It's our reason for being here. It's learning from our mistakes. It's being accepted for the mistakes you make, accepted for being just the way you are, that you're struggling to evolve just like everyone else, and you're learning as you go. You've got to love other people just the way they are because they're learning and evolving just like you. And you have to love yourself for who you are because you are learning and evolving. That's the whole reason for being here, guys, is to learn and evolve. Okay, you're human. You make errors. You're not perfect. Stop striving to make everything around you and yourself perfect. There is no one right way. Good enough is good enough. Again, if there's no perfect, then good enough is good enough. Even in engineering, it's never perfect. Good enough always has to be good enough. Perfection drives yourself and others crackers. Okay. Are you being good when you judge on your ideals? Is when you judge other people for not meeting your ideals, is that good? You know, is that the positive thing to do? Is it good to judge others? Not really. Recognize that you're getting angry. Can't even talk. You need to recognize when you're getting angry about others not making the grade or others not meeting your expectations. Get in touch with that and acknowledge the fact that that has annoyed you and think about, why has that annoyed me? It's because they haven't done what you think is right for them to do. If you start to acknowledge that, that is the first step to healing that element of yourself. And maybe you'll start to cut the self-righteous anger out and you'll start to think, is my way really the right way? Is it really good, or am I just pushing people away with my standards? Are there other correct ways? Are there other ideals and situations that would work well? You know, you need to learn to rest, sit back, experience the serenity, take time to yourself and relax. The world doesn't depend on you, even though you may act like it often does. Notice and reject these impulses. The world doesn't rely on you. The world won't collapse if you're not there doing the right thing all the time. You need to relax. Healing will begin within you as an Enneagram type 1. When you start to think, maybe the other person has it right. Maybe the other person has a better way of doing things than me. Maybe I'm not always the one that knows the right way, and maybe I'm not always the one that's always got to do the right thing. Then you'll stop teaching people and nagging people and correcting people and instructing people and telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing, which often doesn't bode well with others. You'll be more relaxed, a bit more positive, a bit more joyful, a bit more fun. As I've said, when you do that, you become a positive 7. When you follow the guidance and you stop trying to be this perfect being in life, you shut that critic off, you become more spontaneous, more joyful, you lighten up, you have a bit more fun, you're happy to be foolish, happy to play, happy to laugh, to be a clown. That's the side of you you're looking to bring out, and it will relax you so much. Look for adventure, look for fun, look for things that you haven't done before. When you're in that state, you know that you are in your positive. So if you are an Enneagram type 1 reformer and you are spontaneous and joyful and you like to have fun, then you're in a positive state. And the more you can be like that, the better. When you're in a negative state, however, and when you're under stress, you can be a bit melancholic, so the opposite. You feel that you have no identity or no reason to be in this world. You feel that there's something in you that's broken or flawed. I'm different. There's something wrong with me. There really is. You feel a lot of self-pity and victimhood, and everyone has fun in life but me. Everybody hurts me. My life's rubbish. Why is my life rubbish? And you're always looking for a rescuer to help pull you out of the mire. And, like Rapunzel, let down your hair and the knight will come up or the prince will come up and save you from your melancholy. You're always looking for that rescuer. You feel that everyone else knows who they are. Everyone else knows how to have fun. You know, I don't fit in. Where do I fit in? Everyone else is better than me, blah, blah, blah. You're prone to emotional explosions. You can be lovely one minute and then bite and scratch like a cat, and then run away. And then you'll leave the other person thinking, what the hell just happened? You tend to put your feelings first, and you tend to direct everything on your feelings. So if you're feeling really rubbish, you'll think that you're really rubbish. You use your feelings to define who you are when you're under stress as a one. So the feelings come first before you really think about it. Then you overthink, and then you don't act, and you don't get things done, and you don't become present to life. So if you're an Enneagram type 1 and you're feeling like this, you need to follow the guidance on this video to help you get to the 7 stage, to help you get to neutral and then to positive, because you don't want to stay in the negative 4 for any longer than you have done already. Okay, so if you are feeling this way, that you do have no identity in the world, you don't fit in, you feel melancholic, broken, flawed, different, then please look at the guidance and try and bring yourself out of that mire. Because only when you bring yourself out of that mire will you then begin to look at your numerology and your life path, look at what you're here to do, and then take that forward positively. Okay, so it's all linked. Numerology, astrology, the Enneagram, we use all these together in conjunction to help us discover who we are as a person, but also to develop who we are. Not to say this is who I am and that's how I'm going to stay and that's my excuse. No, that's to figure out who you are and where your difficulties are, and then figure out a way to climb out of that and evolve past it, because that is what life is all about, guys. So we have on the Enneagram Circle, I should have put this in this video. As you can remember from my typing video, the numbers go round from 1 all the way around in a circle up to 9. Now each side of the 1 is a 9 and a 2. So we all have elements of the number beside us within us. So the 1 has the 9 on one side and the 2 on the other. And we tend to tip as people towards one wing or the other. So somebody that is a 1 but very much tips on their 9 wing or is stronger on their 9 wing is very much the idealist. And then after that, in a minute, I'm going to read to you the person, the 1. You're still always that core 1 that I've just been talking about. But you may have elements of the 9 that you lean on more, or elements of the 2 that you lean on more. So if you're an Enneagram 1 that leans on your 9 wing, then you're called the idealist. You're more introverted than a Enneagram type 1 with a 2 wing, more introverted. You like to think about how things should be. So you like to sit on your own and think about how things should be. So you ruminate on your ideals, which can sometimes slip you into quiet resentment and frustration, because you'll think, other people aren't doing this. This is what the ideal is, but the world isn't doing that. So that can sometimes bring you down if you really think about that too much. Very much the elitist for the ideal. But you're very good at your own quiet study. You're good at reflection. You're good at research. You can be quite reclusive, but you're very much the one that will be full of wisdom and discernment, and will be the brains behind any plan or situation. So the 9 would be very useful for a reformer. If you're a 1-wing 9, you could be very much the planner. So you reform from the background rather than being the reformer that stands up front with their fists out. The 9 would be more the person in the background creating the plans, making it all happen. And then the 1 wing 2 would be the executor. They would be the one out there with their fists out getting the job done. Anyway, so because the 9 likes to be the quiet planner, they will avoid the external tasks that bring about reform, because they don't want the stress, they don't want the external conflict. They're more, as I've said, the background researcher, the background planner and the strategist of the reform, because the 1 wants to make things better, remember. So they're always looking at making things better, making people do the right thing. And if you tip to the 9 side, you will be the one that does that from the background. You prefer not to take direct action. You prefer to do it indirectly or to instruct others to do it directly. So instead of talking to people directly about your ideals, you may maybe make loaded comments, maybe sarcastic comments, in the hope that, you know, it doesn't annoy someone, but you want to get your point across without starting a conflict. So sometimes your comments can be a bit loaded and sarcastic because you're trying to get your point across, but you really don't want the conflict of the situation. So you're trying to do it subtly, but you often don't do it subtly. So you can start arguments that you don't want, and then end up going back in your shell and becoming more rigid than you were before. But you're also the one that is more relaxed than maybe the 1 wing 2. You're more the don't worry, it'll be okay. You like comfort. You prefer to be relaxed. You're the reformer that is better at relaxing than a reformer with a 2 wing. They're not so good at relaxing, but the 1 with the 9 wing are better at relaxing and chilling out with a beer. So they're more likely to take time out for themselves, which is really good. Emotionally reserved, as I've said, very wise, very discerning, very learned, because they've researched, they've learned, they've planned, they know. Okay, so they're often the one that would be good for a reformer type 2 to lean on when they need some direction. Okay. But some people lean more towards the reformer, but on the wing 2. So they're the advocate. They're the person that tells everyone what's right and what isn't. So they're very extroverted. They're the teacher. They're the communicator. They're very outgoing, but also very compassionate and empathetic. They're the advocate for the ideal. They'll be the one telling everyone what they should be doing. Everything they think is a lesson in doing the right thing. So when things go wrong, that's a lesson in doing the right thing. What can we learn from this? Which is good, but also can get a bit wearing for others at times. They're very much the one that gets their hands dirty. They're front line. They'll do them difficult tasks. They'll have those difficult conversations, telling people what they should be doing, and end up sometimes in conflict. They're the one that speaks up, and they can come across as a bit pushy, unrelenting at times. They just want to take direct action. They just want people to do the right thing, but sometimes they can do it a bit too hard, and they can be really too pushy and too unrelenting and naggy, and they can get on people's nerves sometimes because they're just too in your face, outspoken, very active, very energetic, very challenging of people, but also very motivating of people. A debater, a communicator, an informer. They're very good at blending their high ideals with their empathy, so that instead of getting annoyed with people that don't meet their ideals, they have empathy for them and they want to help them to do better so that they can do it right next time. Okay, very emotionally empathetic and able to connect. But if you are an Enneagram type 1 reformer, and you lean towards the 9 or the 2, as anyone would in their Enneagram typing, the key for you to develop is to use both your wings to fly, okay? Is to be able to use both of your wings equally or when they're needed. So a balanced Enneagram type 1 reformer is introverted as well as extroverted. They know when to sit back. So in the 9, they'll know when to sit back to think, to plan, to research, to make sure they're doing the right thing, to make sure their background knowledge is correct, okay? Plan the correct way forward and be that wise guidance person from the background, but also then to be able to take those ideas, to take those plans, and then lean on your two wing and teach others. Everything is a lesson for doing the right thing. So instead of keeping all that information and planning and wise information to yourself, if you lean on both wings, you're able to take that wisdom and communicate it with the rest of the world. And then if you mix that with the introversion of the 9, you won't be too pushy. You won't be too over in people's faces. You will be able to be wise, but also to communicate with others wisely without being too pushy and upsetting of others. So you're very much a balance then of the two. The 9 is very relaxed, and the Enneagram 1 isn't very good at being relaxed. So if you take your 9 wing, and as I've said in the guidance, learn to take time to relax, okay? It's okay to chill out. The 9, the 1 wing 9 is more likely to say, oh my God, it's going to be okay. They're less likely to act. Okay, they're more likely to sit back and think about it first, take a deep breath and relax. And that is good for any Enneagram type 1 reformer to do. But then on their other wing, when needed, they can be also very action orientated. They can take their plans and step up to the plate. They can advocate and help manage people to be better, but not in a pushy way, as I've just said. They improve others peacefully without conflict, less commanding and pushy, but also when need be, challenging and motivational, motivating people to do the right thing. So if you mix that peacefulness with your need to motivate others, you will be less preachy, less pushy, and more charismatic in how you teach others to do the right thing. Also mixing your emotional reserve and detaching when needed, but also becoming empathetic and emotionally more intimate when needed. So being able to pull back and have boundaries, but also to be able to be compassionate and empathetic to others. That makes you a more balanced Enneagram 1. Instead of avoiding the dirty work, you will do both. So you will plan in the background. You can be that strategist, but you're also willing to take that plan, to take that strategy, and then bring it forward. Get your hands dirty. Be the person to express that to the world. That is an Enneagram reformer that is balanced. Okay, and if you lean on both your 9 and your 2 wing, and you look at the guidance that I gave you previously on this video, this will help you become a more relaxed, more productive, and definitely more happy and approachable Enneagram Type 1 reformer. Now, I hope you found this video really interesting, as I love the Enneagram, not as much as I love numerology. But yeah, I love the Enneagram because it really dug down to the inner me and helped me to balance my emotions. So that was my reason for this video. If you are an Enneagram Type 1 reformer, this video is for you. And I hope it really helps you to dig into your psyche and move forward in a more happy and relaxed way. If you've liked my video, please like my video by clicking the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, because I have various videos all planned and ready to go and can't wait to share with you guys. And hit that bell icon so that you're always kept up to date with my latest uploads. If you'd like to email me, you can email me at katie@soulexplorer.net, or go to my website where there's information about numerology. I'm going to be adding more stuff about the Enneagram, so that will be coming. But I also on there is my online shop where my ethical, plastic-free, healthy, natural products are all on sale in my shop. I can't extol the wonders of these products enough. So please look at my online store at my health and wellbeing products. And I'm going to put links to all my Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter in the description box, together with a link to my typing video so that you can see that first before you decide what Enneagram type you are. So I hope you've really liked my video today, guys. As ever, trust the soul within you. Trust your intuition. And it's your intuition and your gut that always knows best if you listen to it. See you soon.